Okay, guys, so we're gonna delve straight in, like I said, like a nosedive, into the topics. Basically, these are the areas that we felt that we wanted to bring a little bit more awareness to, in order for people to really kind of grasp how to. It's more about the future of work, and these are areas that we feel are very important for the future of work and basically what's going to be happening. The first thing that we're going to look at talk about is self awareness. Okay, so like I'm taking a deep breath for this because self awareness for me was not present, even an idea of a word that I wanted to entertain until I was in my. So just a little bit of background about me. I worked in HR for a couple of years before moving into training, before getting into coaching. Now, working within HR, I progressed in HR quite quickly. Came in as a new graduate, recruitment coordinator, 8 months. Within 7 months, I was acting team lead. And then within 8 months, I was HR business support. And that role was very big. And the one thing I learned about that was because it was performance review. And my manager said, "You have no self awareness." And I remember I was sitting in a hotel, and I was like, "What the hell are they talking about? What the hell is that?" I was like, "That's nothing to do about my work performance." I'm like, "What is self awareness?" And I took that time actually since then, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because prior to me starting my role in coaching and things like that, I had no self awareness whatsoever. It wasn't a topic that was discussed in college. It wasn't something that had been, even discussed in the science of conversational settings with other professionals. It wasn't something that we'd even talked about or even highlighted or was even on my radar. And I was like, oh my God, I never thought about how me not being self aware, but how other people perceived me and could perceive or maybe make a judgment call or an impression about how I would fare in certain roles, how I would be in certain situations as well. And kind of also coming up with this training element to my role as well that was necessary. And I was thinking, oh my God, imagine if I'd learned about self awareness in college all the time and how great it would be and how better prepared I would have been for that role, that type of way. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it then, just Chris, just about self awareness, the lack of self awareness, or even the type of work that we should be doing or how it's going to benefit students in regards to working in the future.
And you're so right, that we come to being aware about self-awareness from courses that usually are not related to our degree, or even when we start working, the trainings we undertake very rarely touch those subjects. And as we know, one of my great inspirations, Simon Sinek, he's very much focused on making sure that professionals self-aware of their ultimate purpose. And I became self-aware also, as you said, when I did my coaching and training certification. Now we writing a book about 12 steps to perfect professional. And one of the chapters is about self-awareness. And one of the first chapters, because it's so vital, and how to introduce that best. And I do that in my book. And I use reference to great philosopher Alan Watts. And he said, being self-aware is to have a certain approach to your personal life. And it's like, and I do analogy to professional life. And it's like playing music or dancing. You're doing this for pure enjoyment. You don't do that just to finish it quickly, or there's no performance agenda. You just go dancing because it feels great. Yeah. And that same feeling should be when you're working, when you're living. And the key thing is, as much you aware that this is your conscious choice, I'm doing this just for pure enjoyment, it is a first step to making sure that you enjoy your professional life. Now, very often we can say self-awareness relates to relation to those Buddhist stories about river. It's about having your life as a flow. And if the river comes to an obstacle, it just goes around it. So you create and finding your flow, you're just observing how your life is going, making conscious decisions on this. So, and that's very general approach to self-awareness. And then with, for example, with my clients, I go to the details, how much you are aware about your definite purpose in life, how much you are aware how you emotionally react or respond. And sometimes go even deeper and bringing their awareness that your self-worth as a person, because that's very often touched subject in my conversations. Your self-worth as a person doesn't depend on any external factors like money, beauty, or the role you're doing. Your self-worth is completely independent on this. And we're not aware of that. So we measure our self-worth with those external measures. So we actually depend ourselves on external measures. Instead of saying, okay, my self-worth is independent from this. So, and we come back to a neurolinguistic term, past doesn't define the future. In any moment in your life, you can approach and be aware that, okay, failure and success are the same part of path of our life. They're just my learning help, my way to improve myself. So being aware of this, when we lose consciousness, because we lose ourselves in emotions, we lose ourselves in fights. That's why I say to my clients, the big three things that you need to oblige with, or you follow with: no complaint, no blame, no judgment. You try to be aware of the situations to make sure that your life, first thing, you don't depend on a third independent factors in your life. Your worth as a human being is completely independent. Being aware of that gives you a totally different perspective. Then, when it comes to emotional situation, will I react or will I respond to it? And then you look at the situation, okay, you try when you feel emotions, there are a few things. You can do breathing exercises, one of the fastest way to do that. You can dissociate yourself when you look at the situation from a side, and then that's very often exercise I do with my clients, because we sometimes in the heat of the moment, we don't see ourselves, we lose ourselves. And the key thing is to be aware when this emotion starts to kick in, before they're at the peak. And what happens is, because communication is a vital part of our personal professional success, knowing yourself, how you react in those situations, how you respond to the situations, knowing your self-worth, that it doesn't depend what they say about me, doesn't depend if I failed here a few times. Having this distance is so crucial. And very often I'm quoting a very cheesy movie here. I think it's called Notting Hill. It's, I think, with Julia Roberts. And there's two scene in that movie. I think it's romantic comedy. But there are two scenes in that movie that relates to when they sit down together and they laughs from their failures. Okay? And they're doing that with the distance. And that healthy approach to being able to laugh in those difficult situations and learn from them, okay, that's part of my path. And I will actually share one last secret in relation to self-awareness here, that people very often are not aware. When they're applying for a job, they see that is, okay, I apply for this job, it's a goal, or I get it or I don't get it. And when they don't get it, they feel upset and they leave at that and they apply for another job. Applying for a job should be a strategy. So what I mean by that, when you applied for the job, they said no, call them, ask what you think you should do to get that job. They tell you, you do this and you get that job. It's like a sales process. You get sales through fifth or sixth no. And that's the thing, the one who's patient, who has a strategy to make sure that you serve them the best, you listen, you get knowledge, because maybe at the beginning you had not enough knowledge to serve them best. Maybe at the beginning they see, okay, we see that you're persistent and you really want this job and you did what we asked you for. Now here we go, you got the job. So being aware, as much we are aware about ourselves, surroundings, and we invest in anything that increases our self-awareness. We ask our friends for feedback, what they think about us, friends that we can trust, so they're not afraid to say the real thing.
Truth.
Yes? Yeah, and we got they're still their objective truth, but and still knowing that your worth doesn't depend on that. Right?
Yeah.
Investing in new things, new courses, new trainings that expand your awareness. And that's why you become more conscious professional and more fulfilled, because then you don't get yourself put into those maybe conscious or unconscious games of emotions within any environment. And that's why it's a difference of a true leader. Simon Sinek even emphasized, true leader is very much self-aware.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. Like every word that you said, I'm just like co-sign.
Yes, it is a subject because we can talk about lots of exercises. I'm very practical in my profession. We do lots of exercise that we can do. We become more aware. But the key thing, the first step is that as long as, for example, you heard this podcast, okay, self-awareness is something I need to invest. And now you have the door open, and you're now responsible to open this door and continue your journey to increase your self-awareness.
100%. It's actually so interesting that you say that, because you're talking about self-worth and everything like that as well. Just on an additional, can I just ask, do you have any like maybe free resources in regards to self-awareness that our students could access, or if you have any videos or anything like that you might be able to share with our students, just for them to kind of get a better understanding as to the self-awareness piece and why it's so important?
Well, because I have a blog that on one of our business we put information, but self-awareness at the moment, because we're putting this book together, we didn't publish much outside in the subject, but the nice thing is, as I'm so happy to be part of this podcast, we'll be having most of those live talks with different type of universities. And on one of those talks, self-awareness will be the sole subject, and we'll be then publishing those videos. So there will be more available video resources on that. And also some of them will be on Eventbrite, so people can access it. At the moment, we have a lot of posts written mostly about confidence, anything in relation to interview and career progression, and also influence, because we very much focus on how you can empower people for sales, and that's very important. And it's not a sales process in reality, it's actually an empowerment process. But to say if I have anything specific published yet about awareness, no, because we're putting the whole chapter, and when you write a book that has 12 chapters, it's like can be 12 books in it.
I know.
So
I know.
we have to compromise on each one. But it's great suggestion. I'll definitely make sure that as soon as I have resources available on that, I will let you know and share that.
Share it with students. Perfect.
Well, what did you think about this video? Perhaps you really enjoy it, and consider going to our website and subscribe to see more videos like this. Feel free to join our LinkedIn group and comment below the video so we can stay in continual contact. Hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you.